This tutorial is to help with the completion of the MS Word Basics assignment. We're going to start by opening a new document in Microsoft Word. Now when we open this document, we have to remember that Word has a whole bunch of preset formatting that's kind of weird to work with. For example, line spacing is 1.15 and it automatically does a double space between paragraphs, a few things like that. So we're always going to start every Word document by clicking on the no spacing option in the styles group. Then the first thing we're going to add to our MS Word Basics document is a header. To do that, we're going to go to the Insert tab, then over to the header and footer group, and then we'll click on the header drop down, and we're going to go all the way down to the bottom and choose Edit Header. So we're not going to choose one of the pre-formatted headers. We're going to create our own by going into Edit Header. Now when we get in here, the formatting is going to be a little bit different than what we want. So we're going to go to the Home tab, and then we are going to change our font to be Times New Roman, and then our size will change to 12 point. Now here at the left, we are going to put in the name of our document here. So we're going to put in MS Word Basics. Be sure your font definitely says Times New Roman 12 point at this point. Then press your Tab key. The header has a built-in tab, a center tab here at 3.25, and there's a right tab over at the right. So if we're in a header or a footer and we press tab one time, it makes us go to the center, kind of like doing Control E, but it lets some text stay at the left, and then you can tab again and have text at the right. So it's really nice formatting available to us. In the center, we're going to put our class period. So I'm going to say that I'm in class A1 for this one. If you're in B4, be sure you put B4 there. And then we're going to tab again. That puts us to the right side of our screen. And we're going to type in your first and last name. Now again, double check that your font is Times New Roman for that entire line of text. Now we're going to go down to our footer. There is a button in the Header and Footer Tools Design tab that lets us go to the footer. It's in the navigation group. We have a Go to Footer button. Sends us all the way down. Now yes, we can scroll down and go ahead and click in the footer, and it does the same thing. Now we're going to check our font for our footer. We want to make sure that it's Times New Roman 12 point as well. So we have to make that change. Then we're going to go to the center, doing a Control E, or you can press Tab to use that center tab that's set. And we're going to put in our page number. We're going to type the word page, press the space bar, and then to insert our page numbering, we're going to go back to the Header and Footer Tools Design tab. And in the very first group that's labeled Header and Footer, there's a page number button. We'll click on that and then go down to Current Position and over to Plain Number. Now that adds in a number 1. The reason this is important, rather than just typing a 1, if we were to go to page 2, I'm going to go ahead and get into my document and go down so I can see page 2, it updates the number automatically to a 2. If we had just typed in a 1, that would still say page 1, even on the second page. So it's very important that you use a page number code instead of just typing in the number. Alright, we're ready to close our header and footer, and back on the Header and Footer Tools Design tab, there's a Close button inside the Close group, the very last one. We'll click on that. And you can see your header in gray just above your document. Next up, we are going to make sure that our font for the rest of our document here is Times New Roman 12 point, and we need to make sure that our style is no spacing. Notice now that I've gone back in here, my no spacing went away, so I have to choose that again and then I'm going to change my font to Times New Roman and my size to 12 point. Now we're going to type in a bunch of lines of text that will be used for formatting in just a few minutes. So be sure you type in all of these lines as we go through. The first one we want to have our first and last name on. Then you'll press enter. Then we want to have your nickname. What do you want me to call you? If you just go by your first name, then you would retype your first name. If you have a nickname that you and that your friends call you, or that your parents call you, that you would like me to address you as, you could go ahead and put that on the second line. The third line is for your parents' and guardians' names. Then the next line will be our street address. Now you can use your personal address, or you can use the school's address, which is what I've typed on my screen. Then you're going to put in your home phone number, or you could put in your cell phone number, or again, you could use the school's number. The next line, we are on line 6 here. We want to put in A1 and then whatever class you happen to have A1. I teach computer technology, so I'm going to put in computer technology 1. If you have foods, you would put in A1 foods. The line below that, you're going to put in your birth date. Below that, your grade level, preceded by the word grade. So that means we're going to do grade, space, and then whatever grade you're in. And then on the next line, we want to type in 2 hobbies that you have. So let's say I do skydiving and spelunkering. And I spelled that wrong. Oh, it's spelunking. There we go. Skydiving and spelunking are not my hobbies, but we'll list them anyway. Then we want to have a sentence explaining why you're taking this course. And I think most of you are taking this because it is required for graduation. So we'll put in something like, I am taking this course because it is required for graduation. Alright, at this point we want to do some proofreading and check for spelling and grammar errors. Now the keyboard shortcut to run a spell check is F7. So we'll go ahead and press F7, and then it'll either stop on some errors, like usually it'll stop on some of your names, fix anything that is spelled wrong, make sure your capitalization is correct as well. And we want to go ahead and save at this point. This is a good spot to pause just in case it's time for class to get over or we need to have a little break. So we're going to go to File and Save As. Then be sure that you change to your student drive. And then you're going to go into your computer technology folder and into your Word folder and change the name of this to MS Word Basics. Then click on Save. Alright, that way all of our changes have been saved. We won't lose any of our work. Now continuing on, we are going to make formatting changes to our document, and we're going to make sure that we're using keyboard shortcuts. And you will want to write these in your notes to use for the test when it comes test time. So make sure you have a piece of paper that you can keep track of all of your keyboard shortcuts on. Those will show up in your tests throughout the class. So the first thing we want to do is bold our name. So we're going to come out next to our name. If we go in the margin just to the left of our name, our mouse pointer turns into an arrow pointing back to the right. This is your selection arrow. If I click one time with my selection arrow, it highlights the entire line. This works a lot better than doing a click and drag. Okay, so we'll come out to the left, click one time to highlight the line. Now the keyboard shortcut to bold is Control and the letter B as in bold. Next, we are going to highlight your nickname and we are going to italicize. The keyboard shortcut for that is Control I. Next, we come to our parents' names. We want to bold and italicize our parents' or guardians' names. So we're going to do Control B and then Control I. So you can see that both bold and italics are applied. Next, you'll highlight your street address and we want to underline. Keyboard shortcut for that is Control U. Now here's a new one that most people don't know. We want to decrease our font size by 2 points. And the keyboard shortcut to decrease your font size is to hold down Control and Shift, and then you'll press your comma button. And you'll notice that there's a less than symbol above your comma button. So we'll press that 2 times and it reduces that font size down to 10. For your class, your A1 class, we are going to increase the font size until it is 24 point. And to do increase, we do the same thing, Control and Shift. This time we're going to use the period key. Notice it has a greater than symbol above it. So we're going to press that, and you want to be watching your font size up here in the font group. We want to increase until it displays 24. Right here we should have a 24. Now for your birthday, we are going to center a line. And the keyboard shortcut to center is Control E as in elephant. The reason they use Control E instead of Control C is that Control C is already being used for copy. So they went ahead and went to the second letter in the word center, which is an E, and that's how we get that for our keyboard shortcut. Okay, then our grade level, we are going to cut and then paste it at the end. So be sure you highlight the entire line out to the left, click one time. The keyboard shortcut for cut is Control X. And that line should go away. Now we are going to go to the bottom of our document and we're going to press enter so we're a line underneath the reason we're taking this course. And then we're going to paste this. The keyboard shortcut for paste is Control V as in victory, and then we should end up with grade 10. Now we have our hobbies. We have, for mine, I have my skydiving and spelunking. Your 2 hobbies, you are going to copy those. That is Control C. And then we're going to go to the bottom of our document and we are going to paste it 2 times. And paste again was Control V as in victory. Next, we'll go to the sentence that explains why we're taking this course, and we are going to do a right align, which is Control and the letter R as in right. Alright, that is all the changes we're going to make to the text up above. This brings us to another good place to save our document so we don't lose any of our work. Now, since we've already given this a name, if we look at our title bar up at the top, it says MS Word Basics. We can just do a quick save, and the keyboard shortcut for a quick save is Control and the letter S as in save. Now we want to make sure that we are to the very bottom of our document, and there is a keyboard shortcut for that. We can use the Control key, and then up above your arrow keys there are 6 buttons. You have Insert, Home, Page Up, Delete, End, and Page Down. You are going to do Control and the End button, the one that says END. And it will just make sure you're at the very last line of your document. And then we want to make sure we have 1 blank line underneath our 2 hobbies, and then we're going to press enter one more time. So you should only have one blank line above your cursor at this time. And now we're going to set some tabs. Now when we are setting tabs, we want to be able to see our ruler. If your ruler is not showing at the top of your document, you're going to come over here to the right hand of your screen, above your scroll bar and your scroll box, and there's the View Ruler button. You'll go ahead and click that one time to turn it on. You also can click it again to turn it off. But again, we want to make sure we can see that ruler. We are going to set a tab, a left tab at 1/2 inch on our ruler. Now over here on the left side of our ruler, we have a tab indicator button. It's right here. And the default for that is to be set at a left tab. That's what we want to use for our first item. So we can just go to the 1/2 inch mark on the ruler and click one time, and it should add a little black, looks like an L. It's actually a left tab indicator, or a left tab symbol, and that should show up at 1/2 inch. Then we want to set a right tab with dot leaders at 6 inch. Now to set the right tab, we can come over here to our tab indicator, and if we click one time, it changes to a center tab, which looks like an upside down T. Then we'll click it again, and it looks like a backwards L. This is the right tab symbol. We're going to come back over to our ruler and move right on top of the 6 and click one time, and you'll see that backwards L. Now the problem we have here is that we do not have dot leader applied to this. What a dot leader does is it automatically puts dots from wherever your cursor is to the tab. So if you've looked at a program before and you see all those dots from the time and the name of the person, that's called a dot leader. Now to add that dot leader, we have to go into the tabs dialog box. To access the tabs dialog box, we're going to go to the Home tab, and then we'll go to the paragraph group, and we're going to come down to the corner here and choose the launcher. That's the little arrow in the bottom right hand corner of the group. What that does is brings up our paragraph dialog box that gives us more options. Now at the bottom left hand corner of our Indents and Spacings tab inside the paragraph dialog box, there's a tabs button. Go ahead and click on the tabs button, and you can see here in our tab stop positions we have our 1/2 inch tab that we set and our 6 inch tab. Now we can make changes to those by clicking on them. So if I were to click on my 1/2 inch tab, I just want to double check and make sure that alignment is definitely set to left and the leader is set to none. Then I'm going to click on the 6 inch tab, be sure that it is set to a right aligned tab, and then here's where we add our leader. We're going to come here and we want the dotted leader, which is the second leader here. So we're going to click on the number 2, and then we click on Set to update those changes. Then we can click on OK. Now things don't look any different back at this screen, but when we type in our text, we'll be able to see the differences. Now before we use those tabs, we're going to center a heading or a title. So we're going to do Control and the letter E as in elephant to get to the center. Then we're going to turn on our cap lock and type in class schedule. Then we're going to press enter 2 times. That gives us one blank line above our cursor. Then we're going to change our alignment back to left align. This is another keyboard shortcut you'll want to know. The keyboard shortcut for left align is Control L. Okay, now we're going to type in our class schedule with our room numbers using those tabs. So we're going to start by pressing tab one time to get over to the 1/2 inch mark that we set, and then we're going to type in our first period class. So I'm going to put in A1, and then I'm going to put a little hyphen, and I have Computer Technology 1. Now I'm going to press tab again. Notice my dot leaders are there. If it's not giving you a dot leader, you'll want to rewind the video and watch how to go in and set those tabs and get them set correctly. Then we're going to put in our room number. Now my room is C104. If you don't know the room numbers, just make one up. I don't expect you to look them up and spend time there. Just make sure you have a room number keyed in. And then I'm going to press enter one time, press tab again, and then I'm going to do A2 and put in my course that I have for A2. You're going to do this for all of your classes. If you have seminary, go ahead and list that as one of your classes, and then for the room just put seminary or sem, something like that. Alright, once we have all of those keyed in, we're going to go back up to our title, and I want to make sure my arrow is in the left margin, so I have my selection arrow pointing in. I'm going to click one time on that line to select my title, and I want to change it to 20 point. Now you can do that by using Control Shift and the period, or you can come up to your font group and you can click on the drop down arrow and change to 20. We also want to highlight our schedule itself, all of our classes, and we want to change those to 14 point. Now we've made a lot of changes, and so this is another good spot to do a save, and you can do a quick save just to Control S. Now we want to make sure that we're at the very end of our document, so we're going to do Control and that End button, the one that says END. And then we want to change our font size back to 12 point before we move on. Change your font back to 12 point. Then we are going to press Enter 2 times to make sure we're a double space below our table. Double check your font again. Times New Roman, 12 point is what we should be set at. Now we're going to type 6 lines of the sentence, computers are a lot of fun, period. Space, space. And then we're going to type that sentence again. You can also do a copy and paste of that sentence. To do this, though, you'll want to turn on your paragraph symbols. That's found in the paragraph group. You'll see a little paragraph symbol button. And when we highlight our computers are a lot of fun, let me zoom in here. There are 2 little dots in front of the paragraph symbol. We want to highlight all the way over to those 2 dots, but we don't want to highlight the paragraph symbol, just the sentence and the 2 dots afterwards. We'll do a Control C to copy, and then we'll click right in front of the paragraph symbol, and then we can paste over and over again until we have 6 lines of that statement. Now we're going to click anywhere in the middle of that paragraph, those lines that we did, and we are going to turn on full justification, or what we call making our stuff justified. And that's done by doing Control and the letter J, as in justified. And you'll notice over here at the margin, what it did is it spread out all of our words so they line up flush against the right margin and they line up against the left margin. So let me change it back to what it was. Here's left aligned, and if I do Control J, you can see everything spread out. Now I'm going to turn my paragraph symbols back off, so I'm going to go up to my paragraph group and click on that little paragraph symbol button. Alright, next we're going to add a graphic into this. We're going to add a picture of a computer. To do that, we go to our Insert tab, then we go to the Illustrations group and choose the Clip Art button. Then over in our search for, we're going to type in computer. And the one that works best for this is this one here, the third one down. It's got the purple window swoosh behind it. To insert it, you just click on it one time, and it adds it wherever your cursor is in your document. You can close your clip art pane as soon as you've got it added. Now we want to be able to move this graphic into the middle of our paragraph and have the text show up on either side of it. To do that, we have to apply text wrap to it. And we're also going to change the size. So we're going to come up, notice we're on Picture Tools Format tab now, make sure your picture is selected. And in the size group, the very last group, we are going to change the height of this to be 1 inch. So I'm going to type in a 1, and then I can press Enter, and it should adjust the one below it automatically, and it'll say about 1.09. And that's close enough. Then we're going to come to the Arrange group, and there is a Wrap Text button here. We're going to click on Wrap Text and then choose the option Tight. What that does is it tells it to wrap the text tight around our picture. Now we're going to click on our picture, pick it up, and we're going to drop it in the middle of our paragraph here. We can kind of eyeball it, make sure that we've got the same amount of space from top to bottom. And then the other thing that we can do, in the Arrange group, there's an Align button, and one of the options is Align Center. So once you have your picture where you want it from top to bottom, you can do Align Center, and it will bump it automatically and put it exactly in the center. So again, that was the Align button and Align Center. Alright, we're ready to move on again. Do Control End to get to the bottom of your document and then press Enter 2 times. Now we're going to add a table to our document. To add a table, we go to the Insert tab and then the Tables group, and we're going to choose the Table button. And we are going to just add a 2x1 table to begin with. Now in our first cell, we're going to type in the word school, then we'll press Tab, and we'll type in the word city. Now let's say I want more lines, more cells. If I press Tab again, it'll add another line to my table. So I don't need to know exactly how big I want my table, but it's helpful if you know how many columns you need. Now we're going to type, pardon me, all of the schools in our district and the city that they are in, and we'll just type them in alphabetical order. And we're just going to do the high schools. So we're going to start with Maple Mountain High, and then that city is Spanish Fork. I know everybody thinks it's in Mapleton, but it's really in Spanish Fork's boundaries. Then we have Payson High in Payson, Salem Hills High in Salem, Spanish Fork High in Spanish Fork, and Springville High in Springville. Okay, that might take you a minute to get those typed in. If you need to pause right now, you can. Once you're finished getting those typed in, we're going to format our table. We're going to start by clicking on the row that has our titles, just the row with the titles, and we want to make those bold and center. So I'm going to do Control B for bold and then Control E for center. Now our table is spread out too wide. We want to shrink it. Now there is a feature where it'll adjust our tables for us automatically. To do that, you just need to click inside one of your cells, then you'll go up to your Table Tools tab and then to the Layout tab. And you have a cell size group that has an Autofit button. We are going to use two things here on Autofit. We're going to do, well, actually we're just going to choose one. We're going to do Autofit Contents. And what it does is it automatically shrinks each column to be just wide enough for its longest entry. Now what we want to do is center the entire table, like move it over to the middle. And to do that, we can move up onto this Select Table button. When we're inside our table, you'll see a four-headed arrow in the upper left-hand corner right outside. If you click on that, it selects the entire table, including all of its borders and all of the code that goes with that table. And then we can do a Control-E and move that to the center. Alright, now we're going to go back up to the top of our document and we're going to make some changes to our list of items that we typed up here at the top. So we're going to highlight that whole list from your name down to your hobbies, and we are going to change this to be a numbered list. Now to do a numbered list, we go up to the paragraph group, home tab, paragraph group, and then we have this little button here that is our numbering button. If we click on the drop down, we have different options for numbering. We're just going to choose the first option. That automatically adds a number in front of each of our items. This is really helpful when you're making lists of any kind, and you can change the number format, or if you're doing some outlining. Let's go ahead and make sure our list is highlighted again, or still highlighted, and we're going to change, instead of a numbered list, let's make this a bulleted list, and we want to use an arrow bullet, which is this one here. It's like a sideways chevron. Alright, now we're going to go to our class schedule. We're going to highlight our class schedule, including the title. Now we want to be really careful that we don't highlight the line above or the line below. You can tell if that's done. See here, if I have this little blue highlight there, that means I highlighted the line above my class schedule. I want to make sure I only have the title and then down to just the very last class. We don't want my box to be too big. We're going to put a border around this table to make it stand out a little bit better. To do that border, we are going to go up to the paragraph group, and the very last button is a bottom border button, and it has a drop down arrow. We're going to click on the drop down arrow, and we are going to go down to Borders and Shading, the very bottom, and this is where we can choose our border style. We want to choose a box border, and then we can change the line style if we'd like to something a little fancier. I'm going to choose a double line. You can also change the width if you want and make it thicker or narrower. There's lots of things you can do to change that there. Make sure over here it says Apply to Paragraph, and then you'll click on OK, and there is our box around our class schedule. The last thing we need to do is add a page border to our document. To do that, we go to the Page Layout tab, then we go to the Page Background group, and there's a Page Borders button in there. Now it takes us into the same place that we did our other borders, but notice we're on the Page Border tab instead of just the Borders tab. And our decorative borders are here in the Art category. There's a whole bunch of them. It's hard to tell what some of them look like until you actually click on them and apply them. But you can go through here and choose any border that you want. I'm going to choose this one just because I've never used it before. And we want to make sure it says Apply to Whole Document. Then we'll click on OK. Now it puts a fancy border around. Now the thing you have to be careful of is make sure you choose a border that does not cover up your header and your footer. I need to be able to see both of those. If your header that you have chosen does cover those up, go back into Page Borders. You can either make the width narrower or choose a completely different border. You're ready to go ahead and save your document again, so do a Control-S, and then you need to change this to a PDF and upload it to Canvas. To change it to a PDF, we go up to the File tab, and then down to Save and Send, and then over to Create Pdf Xps, and then that gives us a Create Pdf Xps button here. We'll click on that. It should give it the same name we've already got it named and put it in the same folder we already have it in. So we just have to click on Publish. Now you can go into Canvas, go to your Submit Assignment button, choose this file, the one that is marked PDF, and then go ahead and submit your assignment.